Welcome to my first video of the California wine trip that I recently came back from. We're going to be starting with Klinker Brick, which is a really nice winery, really good, had a good time there, but I'm going to give you some background. We began our trip in Lodi, California. This was originally known more as an agricultural area back in the day. It's coming along now as a very, very good wine region and is one of my personal favorites. Here we have the town of Lodi, just the entrance into it. It's kind of a nice little arch. Has some of the Spanish architecture going. The main town itself has a number of tasting rooms, a lot of shops and restaurants and things like that. In fact, the first day we flew in and had lunch there, kind of hit some of the local things and figured out where we're going to go. Now we did have an appointment set up ahead of time at Klinker Brick, and this is the outside of it. Situated just off the highway, easy to find. This is the driveway that leads into it, kind of standing right here at the highway looking inward. That's the tasting room, the main tasting room. And very nice area, very, Lodi in general is kind of a flat valley area, very rich soil. You pretty much throw anything down it grows, just give it a little bit of water. Right there is the front door to the tasting room, and to the right there you see an old wine press. This, of course, is no longer used in this facility. They just kind of put it out there for a little yard art, I guess. But the thing that impressed me throughout all these vineyards that we visited was the care that they gave to the exterior of the facilities. Now, granted, you want the place to look good if you've got people coming in, but I always thought they looked exceptionally intriguing. Of course, I'm coming from a different part of the country, and this area does not have the harsh winters that we have, and a little different. Now this is the patio. This is where we did our tasting. Just a couple shots there pieced together. And when we came, the table was already set up. Now that's me and three of my friends, and the one standing up is Chris. Right there is another picture of Chris. He's the one that did the presentation for us for the wine. One of the wines that they started with was Albarino, which is a personal favorite of mine, but I had no idea it was growing in Lodi. It's typically known as a Spanish wine. Now, this was something I discovered as we made our trip throughout this Lodi and the other regions later on, that there's a lot of grapes being grown in California that are in limited production or more trial size, Albarino being one of them. I think that will be going into limited production, if I understood that correctly, very soon. Now here's just some shots around the tasting room, the different vineyards. You can see there's just all kinds of these things. I mean, there's just like lots of grapes. So won't go too much into that, just let you watch them as they go by. But I did want to talk about the wine tasting itself. Chris was great. He was very informative and told us a lot about the wines as they were coming up. And every time we brought up a question, it seems like he just reached down and pulled out another bottle. We had a great time there. Now that was a prearranged private tasting, so it's not just walk in and expect that type of service all the time. But we tasted a lot of different Zinfandels. We tasted a lot of other wines that we didn't know they were growing there. It just was a very amazing time. And in the course of doing this, I of course learned a lot of things. Not having been to this area before, it was quite the eye-opener to see all these grapes. I don't know why I expected just to see a handful of them, but there was a lot. Now something else I noticed and asked about was the rose bushes that you see right there. Now these are not just ornamental. You can't quite see it, but there's a rose bush at the beginning of all those rows that we just passed. But those are there as kind of an early warning system in case they get a particular type of bug that would also go after the grapes. They tend to attack the roses first. I guess they like that taste better. Now another question that's come up is the drought in California. This being 2015, they've had several years of it. As you can see here is a form of irrigation. This is a drip irrigation. Just drops little bits of water by each of the different vines. These are rigged up, and that's a black plastic tube. I'm guessing some kind of vinyl or PVC. Just run the water through there, and it's very controlled that way. It's not this big massive spray that you see in other types of agriculture. There's some close-ups on the grapes. I don't know which type these are. At this time of the year, they pretty much all look like little green berries. I mean, they're all the same color, regardless of what type of grape it is. This, again, just the time of year. We're out there in the end of June. As it gets later in the season, they begin to ripen and show their more natural color. I think, though I can't say for sure, these were the Albarino grapes, because Chris was talking about that, he kind of pointed in this general direction where I'm standing now taking this picture. So just to give you a sense of scale, each one of those berries, which is what they call the individual grapes, is about the size of my fingertip, and much smaller than I would expect. I'm, of course, used to seeing table grapes that you get in the grocery store. These are a much different type of grape. Here we're just looking back at the patio on the top left, now kind of moving around a bit. Big open yard. This vineyard, as well as others, has open spaces and things where you can do weddings and kind of rent the space out for private events if you're in that area. So there's some of the other buildings, and kind of looking across, you see different things you almost expect to see in a farm or an agricultural setting. So the grapes, of course, are the main thing that we were there for, but like I say, it is an agricultural area, so it's not all just grapes. There's a lot of them, to be sure. So here we have a row of grapes, and then right across that little service road we have some trees. And if you notice, these trees are kind of chopped off at the top. It's those are actually cherry trees. They do that just for harvesting purposes. Most of the cherries can actually be reached without getting ladders and what they refer to as cherry pickers. And there's an example of cherry. Right there is Jason, one of our party. Kind of see his legs down there, and not much of him. But anyway, you'll see my traveling companions throughout these videos. And this is just one of the trees that was missed in the harvest, and it's kind of getting picked over right now, as you see. We had a good time there. That's Leslie. She took the picture earlier, so I wasn't in it, holding up a grape. Just a extra little picture of some grapes, or I'm sorry, not grapes, cherries. These are cherries, and they were very good. I got to sample them. They were very ripe, and I won't name names, but Jen right there was certainly enjoying the cherries. So we had a very good time there, and we were treated very well at Klinker Brick, and I highly recommend checking it out if you go there. So this is on our way out, just kind of looking back. Again, some of the beautiful plant life they have growing there, the flowers, and in this case blooming bushes. And that's a shot of the road back where we started. Now, I highly recommend visiting Klinker Brick if you happen to be going through Lodi. It was a very good place. We were treated very well. I'd like to thank the people at Klinker Brick for treating us so well, and I'd also like to thank my co-travelers there. You saw Leslie and Jen, and the one you didn't see much of was Shirley. She was sitting at the table originally. And of course, Jason, he was at the table earlier and didn't show up a whole lot otherwise, but really good traveling companion. So thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy this. There's more to follow. Just keep watching.